Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome to MJMIT Training Solutions. This is Kishore, and see my contact number over here in the slide. In this session, like I have Suresh, like who is having like 10 plus years of experience in both product-based and service-based companies in functional testing. Now I hand over the floor to Suresh. Yeah, Suresh, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Kishore, and thanks for welcoming. So, guys, let me start with the manual testing. So, everyone will call it as manual testing, but nowadays we are not called it as a manual testing. It's a completely a functional testing. So, whenever you want to say manual testing, simply say it is a functional testing. Okay. So,
Right.
today we are going to give us a demonstration on the whole testing process on your manual testing. Okay, so the slides where I'm showing few cases like requirement analysis, test plan creation, test execution, defect logging, and fix and re-verification. All this covered. Not only these topics what we are showing you, we can go beyond the topics what we have. So for this, we have some course structure. Okay, and before starting the course or demo, so we have some agenda for this. So everyone who wants to become a software tester, so for them there is now everyone feeling that for software testing we have less scope of jobs creation, and but that is not at all true. See, nowadays a scope of not only less, but the scope of getting job is very high. No need to depend on any technologies. Okay, testing is be there for ever and ever. Even the development technology has been changing over a period and the period. For the functional testing, there is no technology dependence and all. Okay, so before who wants to become a software tester, they have some participants like minimum basic prerequisites, like they should be a minimum graduate. Okay, so graduate and any other who are working as a BPO engineers, they can also come and learn and do software testing, and they can also get the job easily. Okay, and coming to software testing, there are mainly three careers. Like one is manual, so I said it's a functional, and is automation, and another one is performance. So everyone think that functional testing has less scope and automation performance has high scope of job getting. That is false. What are the how many ways of getting the job for automation and performance? The same ways of manual is also there. Because without manual, no one can do performance or automation. Okay, so manual should be there, functional testing should be there. Until and unless the functional testing is successful, then only the automation performance came into the picture, even in the current industries also. So now, till 2019, the total software testing market size is approximately $40 billion. And so this will be growing over 6% as per the Sagar. Sagar is okay from by 2026, it will be increased to 66%. Okay, and the next agenda is course structure. And once the course structure is done, we have a question and answers. Okay. So in order to become a software tester, there should be some basic knowledge. So there will be some technical knowledge. Technical, don't think like Python, Java, and all. It's like a simple and minimum basic knowledge. Like because you should know the database. What is database? That should be known, because in order to check the queries, like minimum queries like select star, like code operations are enough to learn about the testing. And we have should knowledge and test management tools. This will be covered in our demonstration, and defect tracking tools and basic minimum comments on the Linux or Unix, things like copying of commands or view the files, like this minimum basic knowledge, that is. And knowledge in automation tool, who wants to become a automation engineer or performance engineer. And as I said, we have three types like manual testing, automation testing, performance. Okay, let me go with the manual testing and what are the course we have. Sorry, not only course. Before that, let me say that what difference between manual and automation testing. So manual is completely based on the human efforts. So there is here we don't depends on any tools for doing testing. Okay, but coming to performance automation, they have depend on some tools like Selenium or PyTest. And coming to performance, comes to tool-driven testing, like for example, LoadRunner, JMeter, and now the new tool coming like Gatling. Okay, this should be there. But coming to functional testing, there is no tools, no need to learn anything. The main the concept is we have to learn the functional thing. Okay, let me go to the next one. What are the course that I'm going to demonstrate is in the first model, we are going to learn about the software testing concepts. And in module 2, we'll go with some hands-on experience with some project. We can go have some private projects. So what are the topics we are learned from the software testing concept that we can do some practical testing on the some of the private projects. Okay, and the module 3 is Agile tools. So Agile is the current process model which every most of the companies are using, and there is a Jira tool also that also we can go with examples and tools and all. And the final one is API testing. This is the one of the present trend working on this, so that is also we could go and cover. Okay, so let me start course, right? So many times we hear about some term like software. Okay, so what is software? Okay, why, and for the software, why the testing is required for the software, and what is QC and QA? Those simple things we learn now. Okay, what are the module 1 course structure concepts are like this? So in module 1, you can learn about SDLC and STLC, QA, QC, some different types of testing techniques what we have that you will learn in the module 1. So this will take over around approximately 4 to 5 hours, like 4 to 5 classes. It will depends on. And coming to module 2, so whatever the we learn some concepts in the module 1, so those will be applied on the live project or any project. So there also we have test case preparation, peer reviewers, error testing, different types of testing terms. And once the testing of the project is done, how will give the status reports, or how will the sign off to the release management. All these things we learn in the module 2. And coming to module 3, as I said, the Agile tool. So Agile tool, what is Jira and how the differs by creating, how we are creating the project in the tool, how we are tracking each and every task. So that will be covered in this Agile tool. And I said 4 module testing, module 4 API testing. What is API testing? How it works and what are the types of APIs that we will learn on the module 4. Okay, let's start with our sorry. So let me start with the what is software. What we let me share another screen. So let me before starting. So we heard about some software, right? So everyone heard recent nowadays who have some knowledge on the mobile phone. Everyone using Android phone. Everyone using Android phone. Everyone using systems. Everyone have some basic thought is what is software. So that we are going to learn first right now. So what is software? I'm not a good artist. Okay. What is software? SBW means software. So what is software? So software is basically a set of programs which will perform set of tasks. This can be developed by certain software developers using multiple tools based on the customer requirements. Okay. Who is customer here? So first of course, a bank is a customer. Let us assume a bank is a let us assume a bank is a customer who has some requirements like they want to automate their daily task what they're doing manually. For suppose earlier days we don't have any online banking applications or anything. So at that time, let's assume we are entering while depositing money also we are entering in the books. So whatever everything we are doing, right, there should be they want to automate. So for this they will approach a vendor, like a vendor means like some IT company. So for this, they will approach IT company and they will communicate with each other about the requirements want what to be automated on the day-to-day worker. So they will first decide. So IT team, once they approach the IT software company, they will decide the budget and time. Once the customer is agreed with this budget and time, okay, the budget and time, then they will do certain proposal on the agreement. So once they are good, so we are doing for 1 crore this project and we'll give it in 1 year. These things will be updated in an agreement, okay, which we'll do in the company. So anything, if you want to develop and deliver to the market, it should go through certain process. Anything, not only IT, for suppose not only IT, coming to like medical industry, like medical equipment. Initially, what they will do, they will get some raw materials and then process the requirement and then they deliver the product. Similar way, like in IT also, we'll do the same way. We have also same process which is called as SDLC. What we call as SDLC. What is SDLC means? Software Development Lifecycle Process. So here what happened is from end-to-end testing. So end-to-end, like from where it begins and where it ends, all the complete step-by-step process is called the SDLC process. So in this process, the software will go certain stages, like in first level is like requirement. So in first level, requirement understanding clearly, and then we'll design the software, and then we will code the software. And once the requirements is done, and we will write the code. Okay. Okay, design the code. Yeah. So for this design the code, we will use certain programming language. Okay, like Java or Python or something. And once the coding is done, we'll go for testing process. Okay. Once this testing is done, and finally deploy in the customer environment. These terms will learn clearly while in the future classes. So software will go through certain stages like requirement, design, coding, testing, and deploying. So here it will start with customer. With customer will get the outcome and then completely known as SDLC. So it talks about complete phases, all the phases of software development activities. So and in each and every phases, there are different team involved and different activities they will perform. Okay, and here the testing is one of the phase in the entire development process of SDLC process. So testing is one of the main and crucial process in the entire SDLC process. So software is a collection of certain programs, and if you want to develop the software to the customer, we know to go to certain processes called as SDLC process. So now let us see. Here there are so two types of softwares we'll discuss in software industry. Normally in IT industry, there are two types of projects called as product and project. So before entering the software industry, we need to understand all these things. What is project and product? So what is product and project? So in IT industry, we'll talk more about these two. And even in companies also, there are two types. One is product company and another is service-based company. Service-based company is called as projects. And there will do more focused on the projects. Okay, and product-based company will mainly focus on the products. Okay, and I will tell you what is difference on this. Firstly, let us understand this. So normally we have a project and products, right? So both are software only, but there is a slight difference. So project means we can develop to specific customers. Okay. For some example, sometimes the companies will develop some software based on the market requirement. So they will do analyze on the market. So what is market is like what kind of software requests. They will do certain analysis on the market requirements. So they will gather some requirement and based on that, they will develop software that is called as product. So coming to here, like the companies developing the projects are comes under the, so companies developing on projects are comes under the service-based companies like TCS, okay, Accenture, Wipro, okay. These are all service-based companies, okay. Whereas some more companies, they will purely product-based companies, okay, like Google, Microsoft. Okay, we have a lot more companies also, but these companies are famous, right? That's why I mentioned here. Okay. So in simple words, we can tell project as in high level. In simple words, we can tell as project as stitching cloths, like by giving some measurements to the tailor. So based on the measurements, tailor will stitch a cloth like a shirt. Okay, that is simply can called as project. Product means will go directly by the ready-made dresses, like we'll go for jeans or t-shirts, right? This is already developed based on the market strength. So that will be known as product in simple words. Okay. So now we'll discuss about software testing in the entire process of SDLC. Testing is crucial stage, as I said, right? SDLC. SDLC. So I said here, the first process is requirement. Second is design, code, test, deploy. Okay. So even in testing, we do a lot of activities like test planning, writing test cases. We'll execute the test cases, file our bugs, we'll create a test report. All these things do as part of testing phases. Okay, these things will come under testing process. One is test plan, execution, okay, report generation, bug defects. So these will come under testing for activities. But why do we need to do testing on the software? Because the customer, for suppose example, I want to purchase a mobile phone. Okay, like I want to purchase a mobile phone. So what I will expect, I have certain budget and I'm expecting some features to be there in my mobile. Okay, so I have purchased this mobile for 10,000. Okay, and I am expecting some features. Camera should be 48 megapixel. Okay, like this. So then what I will do is, as I will approach a shop, then I will search for multiple mobile phones. So if I go to shop, there we'll have multiple mobile phones. So, then when I approach the shop, then I will search for multiple mobile phones, right? So 1, 2, 3, so on, so on, so on, like, right? So whichever comes under my budget and should have features what I'm expecting, right? I will go and search multiple mobile phones and I have found one phone which I expected features. So, okay, now I saw that and I purchased this mobile and I'm expecting it is a 10K and I'm expecting camera should be 48 and the camera should works like a 48 megapixel, not like a 2 megapixel, right? So once I purchase mobile phone and start using it, saying no, some of the seeing some of the features is not working as I expected. So I suspect so whatever, so I see I'm expecting some 48 megapixels should be clear and there. But when I click a first pick, it was showing like a 2 megapixel camera. So at that time, what I think, So whatever I spent a lot of budget and expected some features should not work there, and then I started using it, certain features and not working. So as the customer will start frustrating with this frustration, because the customer spent a lot of budget, right? So what is the reason for this is therefore releasing to market is they haven't touched it properly. So if this is the case in the general example, like for suppose take an example of banking application. I have given example like mobile, but in general the customers like banking application. What happened once we release the product to the bank customer? If the customer faced this type of issues, what happened? So entirely he lost his business, right? So here the contracts will be closed, and he won't give the next chance or next upgrading features to this organization. So there will be a completely, this project will be cancelled. So same thing also happened to customer. So when I develop a software, the customer will use it some features, right? So if it is buggy, means the customer will frustrate and cancel the next project, or anything will happen. So that's the reason. So testing is required, and for every product to be released to the customer, and testing is the crucial phase in SDLC. So if it is so the main object of testing is to deliver the quality product. So in order to do this, we need to find as many as bugs as possible. So we have to concentrate on the bugs only, not on the working of the project. And we have, once we found any bugs, immediately we have to report to the developer or to the certain person who is working on this, and make it to be fixed, and then retest and finally release the quality product to the customer. Okay, so in a shortest we can say testing is an activity to detect and identify the defects in the software, and the main object of testing is to deliver the quality product to the customer. Okay, so till now I have given, so discussed about software and SDLC process, product versus project, and why testing is required, right? So excuse me. So here I will give you a very high level understanding what kind of testing we will do and why testers not require any programming skills. Okay, let me give you a high level picture. So there are different types of testing we need to do as part of SDLC. Yes, what is SDL? Software testing lifecycle, which is also part of SDLC. So here under SDLC, we have testing phase, right? So in testing phase, we have SDLC. So for example, in real time, so I will mention giving a real time example. Okay. For example, in real time environments, so there are two guys involved in software development process. One is developer. One is developer, and other one is tester. Can call them as tester as QA engineer, quality assurance engineer. So these are the two teams majorly involved during any software development process. So what are the main role of developer is they will develop a software. Okay, they will develop a software, means they will write the different programs for the based on the customer requirements, and they don't do any testing, means they will do only certain level of testing. But as a tester, a QA person, the team has to do this different team. They are completely responsible for testing. Okay, so developer or programmer will develop the software, and testers is to be test the software. But here, if you understand what is developer task is, they will write a small program, and they will also do a certain level of testing, like whether sorry. Okay, right. So, and they will also do a certain level of testing, like whether the program is working or not. So they will give some input and they're expecting some output to be there. So this is a kind of testing. Okay, like for suppose they are writing a code for 1+1, okay, equals to 2. So they are writing, so they will check, right, 1+1 equals to 2, so it is working or not. Okay, and what the level of doing testing is called, this level of testing is called as unit testing. So means the tester their own they test their own programs by giving some internal logic of the programs, like they will create some conditional statement and some looping statements and everything. So they need to make sure all the lines of the code is properly executing or not when providing different kinds of input to this program. Okay, here developers will do unit testing. Yeah, so like are we getting the correct output or not? So they will test internal program, that's called as unit testing, right? And this done basically done by the developers at the developer point of view, because they know the program, how they have written program, and similarly have multiple programs. So they have communicate with each other. So for suppose developer wrote one piece of code. Okay, another developer write one piece of code. So one more developer write one piece of code. So first developer will check his code is working or not by doing his unit testing, and second developer will also do his unit testing, and third one also is doing their unit testing where the piece of code is working as per. Okay, suppose whatever output is given by the first program becomes, so whatever the given output of becomes the first one is the input for the second one. So like this, whatever the output comes from the second one, it gives the output input to the third one, right? So they need to test the communication between these modules or program. That is called as integration testing. And the integration testing. Okay, so these two testings, if you want to conduct, we need to know the programming skills or internal logic of the program. So that is the reason these two testings will be done by the developer itself in their own environment. Okay, but they do not know the complete testing, right? So once they have written the particular code, they will perform unit and integration testing. Once they're done with these two testing, finally, what they will do is they integrate these programs into a build. Okay, called as build or package. So once we all these programs, upload programs, we call as a build or package. Okay. Find the what they will list, integrate the programs into a build or package or an executable format. So why it is executable format means we don't see the code. We can't see any internal code and what is have written. Like as a tester, we don't bother about the code and don't want to see what the internal logic and what code. So we just install the build in our environments, like an environments means like QA environments. So for developer, they have their own environment, and QA has a QA environment, and the customer have production environment like this. So just like an installing a software. So we just install the build in our QA environment, like a installing a software in our machine. So then once we install the software, then we'll do the testing of software. So what kind of testing we'll do? Already unit testing and integration is done by the developer. So, but here we will also do a testing, but this testing is completely done by the testing team. So this is called as system testing. So what the tester will do is system testing. So system testing, system means complete software. So the complete end to end we have to perform here. But here, what is the input? the developer is written the code. Okay, because they know internal logic. They're able to test in form of integration and unit testing. But when coming to system testing, how the testers know the function of application. So before getting build from the developers, the tester has to do certain jobs, like they have to understand the requirements from the customer point of view, and they will prepare some test cases, how to be test this application, and they have to do some plans and all, so and so. So before getting built from the developer, we has to be ready with all the action plans like test cases, test requirements, test design, input data, so and so. So here test cases means step-by-step process to be executed. Okay, we'll discuss more in coming classes, right, about the test cases and test scenarios and all. Okay, so once we are clear with the requirements, we can write all the test cases and then we can easily test the software. So without then, once the developer give the bill to us, what we'll do? Without the proper planning, we simply will do like so whether the application is working or we'll see like that one, but we can't do, right? What are the steps we have to follow and what are the negative scenarios and what are the, how we can find the bugs and all. So for this, we have to prepare some plan. So like this, we can test the entire software, okay, or application. So here we talked about different testings, like unit testing is done by developers at the program level, whereas system testing is done by the tester, whether this application is working as per the customer requirement. So tester will test the application on the view of customers. Okay, so tester will every time treat as the customers only. Okay, that is the main intention of the system testing. So here we don't know what developer has written, but we should know the functionality, like how the application be like and how the screen should be look and all. So the unit testing and integration is also known as unit and integration. In the small words, okay. So unit and integration testing will be done by developers, and this testing is also known as white box testing. Okay, because they know what the developer know, they have what written inside. So when it comes to system testing, right, this is done by people, and this is known as black box testing. So here we don't know what is there internally, but still we are testing the software based on the requirement. So that is called black box testing. Black box means entirely we don't know what it is there, completely black. So completely black because we don't know what is written inside the code. So that's the reason we call it as black box testing. But white box, we can see internal what is written. So white box is done by developers because they know what they have written. So that's it. So all test engineers will comes under black box testing. So and all developers will comes under white box testing. QA will come under black box and developers will come as white box testing. So one more testing, that is UAT, means UAT. So it is customer. It's like customer environment. So one more testing is UAT, means user acceptance testing. So once QA team, like testers is done with the testing, they will give it to the customer by saying that we did not found any issues and everything is good. So we can go and deploy on their own environment. So customer will also, so customer don't directly do deploy in the live environment. So before going to live environment, they will deploy this software or application in their own environment, which is called the UAT. So they will also test before going to live. So that environment is called UAT, because customers should know how it will work, and they also have their own test cases and all. So sometimes they will also find some defects during the testing in UAT. So and once the UAT testing is success, then only the customer will deploy in production or live environment. So if the customer found any issues, then again they will reassign to the QA people. So this is the issues we are seeing in our environment. So what they will do, the QA people also will check for those issues. If they found the issues in QA environment, then they will immediately raise a ticket or any bug and assign it to respective person. If they are not found the same issue what the customer has been reproduced good, then we can call it as environment issues. So this will come. So what type of environment issue will come out in the coming sessions or coming classes. So till now we have covered what type of what is software, SDLC and SDLC project, why testing is required, and types of testings, okay, and types of projects, and all we have covered so far, right? So in coming classes, we can go with each and every topic of testing concepts and test plans, and we have a lot of things in there. So, okay, we can go with the next classes or next sessions. So this is a brief introduction about the software testing, okay? And as I said, you right, and the course content what I have showed earlier. Let me show. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen, right?
Suresh, we are still seeing the whiteboard only.
Oh, okay. Then let me. Now?
Yeah, now we can see the slides.
So till now, I have covered some module one concepts like SDLC, QC, and some different types of testing concepts. Okay, and the same thing we can. What are the learn so far we have learned, right? Those will be. We can go with some live project, but that live project we have some time, so we can go with the live project later in the coming classes, and we can use our what are the concept we have learned, right? Learn the project. So now I'll go directly to the module 3. What we have. This is a brief introduction. Okay, the classes will be more. So coming to Agile tools, we have some Agile tools. So for this, here not only different life cycle, CVRT product and Agile method. Here also we have something like some tools like how the project has been assigned to the Agile process. Here, let me give a brief example on the Agile process. Okay. So Agile is an approach to software development under which requirements and solution to evolve through collaborative effect of self-organizing and cross-functional teams and their customer or end user. So basically, Agile process will talk about the collaborations. There are few important points to be remember. One is collaboration effect and requirement and solutions and cross-functionality. Let me go to whiteboard. Okay, Agile. So basically in here we have to concentrate on collaboration, cross-function. Okay, so Agile is nothing but it's a kind of software development process, just like a process models. So in SDLC also we have different types of models, like we have waterfall model, prototype V model. We have that we haven't discussed in the earlier class, but in the coming classes we can learn about the SDLC processes. So Agile is also one of the process which we followed in the SDLC process. So similarly, we also have the Agile process model. So this is also for developing a software. But what is the specialty in Agile process is having developers and also testers will work together as one team. So here in this process, That is the specialty, and this in this team is also called as Agile team. So one more important thing is here we don't have separate teams like QA, developers, okay, like managers and all, leads and all. Okay, here everything we comes under as a Agile team. So everyone call it as a Agile team. So Agile team is called a multiple teams. So multiple teams like QA, developers, switching, all this clubbing, all these teams into together, we call them as Agile team. So here role is not important. The task what they are doing is important. Here there is no specific roles like senior or junior or senior management, junior management or junior leader, and so on. So everyone is equal in Agile team. So there is no differentiation about the seniority and junior. Okay. Now let us see thus there is we will use here some terminologies in Agile process like epic, story. Okay. Epic, story, okay, task. Okay. So by reading functional requirements specifications, we have understood the general things in SDLC process means like without Agile, like we have to read some functional requirement specification. So based on that, we will understand the functional requirements. But in Agile process, there is no documentation process. So the document process is very, very, very less. We don't have much documentation because Agile is nothing but the fast step. Call it as fast step. So it is like a faster process. So everything which will be in go in a faster process. So like for suppose if I create a document for every requirement, it will take a lot of time in general, right? The document process. So maximum 90% of the document is avoided in the Agile process. So we don't have any FRS or SRS like software or function requirement specifications documents to understand the requirements. So instead of FRS document, we have an epics and stories. So like epics and stories, we have instead of preparing a document. Okay. So what is an epic? So epic is nothing but a large requirement, large document, right? Large document requirement. We'll write in the FRS like multiple, like hundreds or thousands of pages, right? That will call as epic. But here we don't write any that much of pages of content here in epic. Okay. Basically, it is designed by why. Why means define the business needs. So here we'll define only the business needs. Let's say there is a customer. So he will create some epics. So what is their business requirements? And they will create certain number of epics, and based on the epics. So epic is nothing but a large requirements. Once again, I'm saying epic is like nothing but a large requirements. And based on this epic, we have to derive into smaller pieces. This is called as features. Again, the features will be divided into stories. So stories is nothing but some small requirements. So epic is larger requirement. Story is smaller requirements. Okay. For example, one epic is there as a user. I want to use an online banking application. So that epic is as an epic that is a bigger. So using an online application, banking application is not a small thing, right? We have a lot of things there. So login, and then after login, we have to update the details and transactions, and we have to like eKYC. There's a main lot of things there, right? So there will come under the epic. So if I divide into multiple pieces as a user, I need to log into application. That is one requirement, and user needs to transfer money. That is one requirement, and etc. Like updating the address and updating the KYC. Like these are all divided into small features, right? So all these features are known as stories. So epic is a larger requirement, and stories is a smaller requirement. So in Agile, we don't have any FRS or SRS. We have only epic and stories. Okay. So we not only so these are all derived from product owners. So epics and the stories are derived only from product owners. So we have some terminals comes into picture like scrum masters, product owners, agile team, etc. So agile team, as I mentioned earlier, is like all the QA developers and senior leads management comes under agile team. And coming to product owners means who is going to interact with the customer, they will come as a product owners. And scrum master is nothing but he will come under the scrums. So scrums, product owners, and agile teams, and then sprint. There is we have the different terminals we have. So there all these terminals and how the Jira will workflows and how the project will be created. All this comes under the coming classes. Okay, we'll go with the coming classes in the next session. Okay, that is about this is about a small brief introduction about the module 3 like agile methodology. Okay, sorry, and we have one more module like as I mentioned, right? API test. Okay, so what is API testing? So before going to API testing, there we every time we hear some words like client, and server. Okay, client and server. So for going to API testing, we have to understand what is client and server. Okay, so first let us start with the client and server. So normally when you're working with a software application, okay, so you may hear about these terms like client and server. Okay, server is nothing but storage area, like contains the data. The client is where the client is area from where we can access all the data from the server. So for example, where is my browser? So when I'm typing google.com, okay, Google, we are getting some display. Okay, we are getting some this page, right? Whenever I type into google.com, we are getting this page. Okay, so from where exactly we are getting this page? So actually when I type some text like google.com, we are getting some data, right? Like here, if I go with okay, now I typed something manual testing and we got some pages like images and all, right? So from where we are getting this page? So actually when I type some text, we are getting some data, right? This data and pages exactly stored in the servers, but we are requesting those pages, right? So based upon the search string, it will go and search and the different pages are there in the server and it will give the response to us. So whatever we see here is called the response. And what we requested to server is we have requested some URL. Here are some string, right? Or we search, right? So based on that, the server will provide the data from the database that is called as DB server. We have DB servers, right? So here we have two components. One is server, which is exactly contains the data, and basically it will respond not only to the data, and it also responsible for processing of the data, like data plus processing the data both will include in the server. Okay, so and client is the area where we can request to the server whatever we want to get. The server will give the response, and these are two very important things which we need to focus in request and response. Throughout the API and web services testing will majorly focus on these only. So if I say proper request, what kind of response we are getting, and what are the things we are going to validate as part of the response. So these are the only two areas focusing on API testing. So now client and server. Server is responsible for storing the data and also processing the data. Okay, this is, and client can request the data and server will produce the data. Okay, and this comes as the client and server. And initially we have client and servers are so in order to, so these are the client and server what we have. So server is like storing the data, processing the data, and client is the where we can request the data to the server. Okay, here also we have some architectures like client server architecture. So here we have three types of architecture, like one is one tier, second one is two tier, and third one is three tier. Okay, so in coming classes I will explain about this, what are the types of architectures we have, these explanation about these three. And also in similarly we have some layers we have. One is presentation, okay, presentation, application, and third one is data logic. So these three are the main important in knowing the APIs. Okay, so whenever we send the request to presentation layer, okay, the request will go to the business layer or application layer. So here the actual logic will be available or processed in the form of APIs. Here in the application layer or business logic layer, we have certain process in the form of APIs. So this API will automatically involve and process the request and sends the response. So like this, we have a lot of things to go with API testing. So in coming classes, we'll go with Postman, which is from Google. So which is a free and open source tool where we can how the APIs will work and how APIs will process the request, how many types of methods we have, and some responses for HTML response. All this will learn in the coming classes. Okay. So this is about the brief introduction about the functional testing concept and Agile process and API testing process. So in the future classes or coming classes, we'll go with in details. Okay. Let me stop recording.